Thank you very much, and welcome everybody to this session, which is one on community economic development. And this fits very well with the mission of Rotary, which for most of you who are Rotarians, we know is together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities and in ourselves. And in the area of communities, we have a few facts that resonate with why Rotary is doing what it is. Nearly 800 million people live on less than $1.90 a day. And one of the key objectives of Rotary is to look at sustainable solutions to try to turn this around. And how do we do this as Rotary? We work to strengthen local entrepreneurs and community leaders, particularly women in impoverished communities. And through this, we try and create lasting change within those communities where we operate in as clubs and as members of Rotary. We also, as individuals, become resources in the communities where we are living, where we operate, in the way that we help networking, we advise people on new business opportunities, and also in terms of management training and facilitation. And we try to then also link some of those entrepreneurs and some of the traders and business people into financial opportunities that can help them to grow within their communities. So it's on that background that we're going to have this session today with three very eminent people. And I'll ask each of them just to say a little word about themselves and the companies which they represent. And let me start with Kola Masha, who is the managing director of a company called Babangona in Nigeria. Kola, over to you, please. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Well, thank you so much, Patrick. An absolute pleasure to be here. So Babangona, which means great farm in the language of northern Nigeria, Hausa. Today, we are on track to be the largest maize producing entity in Africa. We operate a model where we basically support a network of smallholder farmers to dramatically improve their productivity and profitability. Today, we are supporting about over 110,000 acres of maize production and supporting those farmers to achieve net incomes that are more than double the national average here in Nigeria. We've now been at this for over 10 years now, and over that period of time, we've consistently enabled our members to dramatically better their lives while ensuring that we are creating a financially sustainable model that is able to achieve repayment rates of over 99% on the financing we provide the tens of thousands of smallholder farmers that we've supported over the last 10 years.
Thank you very much, Kola, on that. And let me now move over to David Osamba, who is the founder and CEO of Nyabon Enterprises Limited, which is an organization focusing on farm mechanization solutions for smallholder farmers. David, if you can introduce yourself a little bit and your organization as well. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. It's a great pleasure to be here. At Nyabon Enterprises Limited, which I founded about 6 years ago now, we recognize that there is a need for us to be able to do something about our African smallholder farmers in terms of the way they approach agriculture. So at Nyabon Enterprises Limited, we focus on the provision of mechanization solutions to smallholder farmers. We bring appropriate low horsepower machinery, mostly from India and China, which we then use to package mechanization solutions that meet the needs of smallholder farmers. One of the things that we realized was that the way smallholder farmers approach farming in Africa is such that it is not profitable. It doesn't put money in their pockets. And this is because of the fact that they have used rudimentary methods of farming ever since we were going to school almost more than 40 years ago. So the machinery that we bring is very much appropriate for small holdings. And in the work that you have done, particularly in the western part of Kenya, looking at the rice value chain, through the models that we have been able to formulate and pilot, we have been able to increase the productivity of paddy rice production by more than 30%. In fact, the yields that the farmers are now getting are helping them quite a lot in terms of getting more money and also improving the quality of the rice that they send to the market. So we are now in the process of scaling up the solution that we developed over rice value chain to include other crops like sorghum, like cotton, and even horticulture, so that the smallholder farmers can be able to improve their living standards and get more money in their pockets.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And obviously, my name is Patrick Obath. I am the District Governor for Rotary District 9212, which consists of Kenya, Ethiopia, South Sudan, and Eritrea, and I'm based in Nairobi. And I'll be the moderator for this panel discussion today. So let me start with you, Kola. You're obviously engaged in what I call market systems. You're looking at the full value chain in terms of trying to improve the value to the farmers. And so from where you sit, how's your company contributing to growing the local economy? Give us a bit of granularity around some of the details of what you're doing, especially around how the communities are being developed from that point of view. Kola.
Well, thank you, Patrick. So fundamentally, what we do at Babango now is we better the life of our members. And the way that we do that is that we go out and we identify individuals we believe will be great leaders of grassroots level farmer cooperatives. And we support them to basically build these mini farmer groups. And we support thousands and thousands of them today. Once these groups are formed, we then support them with a holistic package of products and services, beginning first and foremost with training on how to unlock their leadership potential, training on how to all the members on how to migrate from a subsistence to a commercial mindset, and finally training on how to become better farmers. The second service and most important service we support is financing. So we provide the farmers a comprehensive end-to-end package of financing to enable them to access the full suites of products and services that they need to optimize their yields. And then the third step is now that financing comes 100% in kind in a holistic package of inputs, everything from the highest quality seeds and a full set of other inputs to an individual that visits their farm every 2 to 4 weeks to give them advice and guidance, all the way down to harvesting, where we provide them the empty bag, the needle and thread to package up their product. Finally, the fourth service we provide is we actually help them harvest their maize. Today, we have an installed capacity of harvesting equipment that provides that can harvest over 400 tons per hour. That we then move those grains from their farm to our storage locations. We've invested now in over 100,000 tons of storage capacity, where we store those grains for our members and enable them and unlock financing for them. So they basically aren't under pressure to sell their grains at harvest, but they're able to get money in their pockets. And then over the next 9 months, we then help them sell those products to get the best value that they can. So by providing this complete suite of end-to-end services, we're able to impact all 3 levers of net income for a smallholder farmer. We're able to reduce their costs, increase their yields and volume, and then help them get better prices for their produce. And it's because of the impact on all 3 levers of net income that we're able to have a dramatic impact on their net income, typically enabling members to achieve net incomes that are double the national average. And finally, one of the other critical things that we've seen with members that have been with us now, as I mentioned, we're now in our closing out our first decade, is over time, they're able to grow their land holdings. And it is through this growth in their land holdings that you get this incredible multiplier effect on their net income. So you can imagine a farmer that is farming maybe 1 hectare. If we now double their yield on that 1 hectare, we just doubled their net income. Now, if we take them from farming 1 hectare to say 3 hectares, we now increase their net income 6-fold in total. And that type of increase in net income is truly, truly life-changing. And we've been able to do this now. This year, we'll be rounding out cumulatively supporting nearly over 150,000 smallholder farmers.
Thank you very much, Kola. Let me just sort of then take on a supplementary question to that. How did you start? Because that's really what a lot of people in Rotary will be looking at in terms of we're doing a lot of small projects, but how do you build them up to scale?
Well, I think first and foremost is ensuring that you begin with a structure that you know you can scale with. So for us, when we started, the problem we were trying to solve was basically, we believe hands down, the greatest challenge facing our continent today is rising insecurity. And this is driven by an underlying cause of a dramatic growth in youth unemployment. We firmly believe as oxygen is to fire, so are unemployed youth to insecurity. And so our objective with Babangona was to, when we started in 2010, was that by 2030, we'd be able to support close to 10 million smallholder farmers through our efforts. So everything we did was under the idea of how do you make this scalable? And so by doing that, we started exceptionally small. We started with literally 1 farmer on 1.5 hectares. That was myself. From there, we went into our first season of supporting just 100 farmers. But what we did was then we ensured that we invested a tremendous amount of effort in technology, where fundamentally most people look at Babangona and think, oh, you're an agricultural company, or maybe you're a financing company. But fundamentally, we are actually a technology company. We have, today, we have the single largest technology team dedicated to smallholder farmers on the continent. Putting out, I think we've put out over 40 applications in the last 18 months, supporting a full suite of activities that we do. And so that is how we're able to scale, right? Because even in the depths of the challenges we faced in the last 1.5 years with COVID, the organization has been able to triple in size because of our investment in technology.
Yeah, so David, now over to you as well. Can you tell us too, from your point of view and your company, where did you start from, and how are you sort of impacting on the communities where you're operating in? David?
Yes. So thank you very much, Patrick, for that question. So Nyabon Enterprises Limited was started around 6 years ago today. And it was started because of a need that we saw amongst smallholder farmers in Africa who typically have small holdings. And some of these farmers actually have holdings even which are less than 1 acre. If you look at Kenya, for example, more than 70 to 80% of the food that is produced in the country is actually produced by smallholder farmers. And these smallholder farmers with their small farms, they have been using rudimentary methods to be able to till the land, do planting, and all the other activities. And we felt that technology is now available in the world, which can actually be used by these smallholder farmers so that they can be able to improve the yields that they get, and also the quality of the food that they produce. We also felt that the approaches that the farmers were using to be able to produce crops was not efficient. It was an approach actually that was not, making them to be as productive as they could, and they were not making as much money as they could. Actually, some of the farmers go ahead and produce crops without making any money at all. So for these reasons, we felt that if we brought appropriate technology, if we brought appropriate machinery that the farmers could use and have access to at affordable prices, they would then be able to till their small pieces of land. They would be able to improve the yields of the crops. and they would then be able to get market and be able to take their produce to and sell them for them to be able to make money and improve their livelihoods. So these are actually some of the reasons why we decided, to go into this business. But obviously, when we started, reality, hit us, because we did find that the same farmers that we wanted to help with all this appropriate technology, were not, making enough money to be able to afford the equipment that we were bringing. So we had to go back to the drawing board and come up with innovative solutions which would help us be able to bring these technologies in a way that the farmers could be able to afford them. And that is the reason why we decided to develop a model which we are calling a value chain focused model, where we are looking at the approaches that we are recommending to the farmers in an integrated fashion, to ensure that the farmers know where they're going to sell their crops right before they start. They know what the machinery they're going to use to produce the crops, as we are, obviously selling to them, and they are able to produce these crops and then sell them and make money for themselves. Yeah. So these are the reasons really why we decided, to do what you're doing. And over the last 6 years, we have actually found that the models are working. And if you look at the rice farmers that we started working with in Kisumu County, they have been able to almost double their yields in certain circumstances, and the net profit that they are making now are in excess of 30%.
Thank you very much. So similar problems, slightly different solutions from the two of you. Now let me just raise the discussion one stage higher, and this is now to look at the area of policy support. And I'll start with you, David. Obviously, you're operating as an entrepreneur within your own area, and you've found you've seen a need, and you've gone into some kind of social enterprise to try and sort out that particular problem. What kind of policy support do you think you would need to make that happen in a bigger way? What in terms of the county governments and that kind of thing, David? And then I'll come to you, Kola, on that one.
Yeah. So thanks, Patrick, for that. I mean, I think one of the reasons why our smallholder farmers have not been as successful as they can be is really the lack of enabling policies that would help them improve the approaches that they are currently using for farming. So what do I mean by this? One of the biggest enablers that we have identified, is lack of market. Farmers produce a lot of crops, and in many cases, a lot of these crops actually go to waste, or they end up being sold at very, very low prices. So if we could have approaches where the market is assured right from the start when you're selecting the seed that you're going to plant, that will help the farmers quite a lot. Yeah, we know that because of the experiences that we have had in rice. Yeah, so market really is key, and if government could come up with policies where farmers had easy access to market, that would help quite a lot. The other policy intervention where government, either local or at country level or at central government level, could really help is in the area of affordable finance. Clearly, each and every farmer or anybody else who wants to do any business would require working capital. And farmers find it extremely difficult to be able to get working capital to be able to do production, to pay for farm inputs, to pay for services, etc. So if enabling policies could be put in place to help the farmers afford accessible working capital, that would really help. And the other area, which is also very, very important, is in terms of infrastructure. A number of the areas where farming happens, and again, if I look at our experience with rice, the infrastructure that is available within the schemes is actually not very conducive. And if this could be improved so that the farmers could have easy access to water, they could be able to have better road access. This will also help in terms of improving the quality of the crops that they produce, bring ease in terms of taking these crops to market, etc. So these are really some of the key policy interventions that could really help. The other one, just before I stop, would be, strengthening the cooperatives, because we have realized that for farmers to be more effective in the way they approach, production of crops and marketing, they actually need to organize themselves into some kind of collectives. And the cooperative movement has proved where it succeeded to actually be very, very beneficial to farmers. But if you look at the experience in Kenya, most of the cooperatives are weak. So if policies could be put in place to basically strengthen these cooperatives, that would help a great deal.
Thank you very much, David. And Cole, I'll slightly modify that for you because you're in a different space completely as an organization. You've got your value chains, you go through to market, you're able to bulk up, you're able to store and keep up. So you're doing a lot of the back-end support to the farmers. But as an organization that is involved in working with large communities, what are the policy challenges you have in terms of working with all these communities vis-a-vis the government support that comes to other communities that you're not working with? Kola?
Well, thank you, Patrick. So I think with regards to the community side of things, more broadly, what I would say is, I spent a little bit of time in government as a senior advisor to the Federal Minister of Agriculture, and from that experience, I recognize that there are very good people in government. The challenge that they often have is they have limited bandwidth, and there's so much to do. And from that experience, I recognize that when you're looking to provide for the government to make policy recommendations, you want to think about what are those policy recommendations that would be the easiest for them to implement and have the largest impact due to that bandwidth constraint. And so for us, I think it really comes down to two key things. The first, which David talked about, which is infrastructure. But I want to be very specific on infrastructure. For me, it's rural roads. Right? At the end of the day, study after study has shown that basically if you're able to improve the rural road network and shrink the travel time for a community to a major, let's call it a hub city, there's a dramatic increase in yield. Why? Because you are basically, when you have bad roads, you're increasing the cost to get inputs into that community. And when you have bad roads, you're increasing the cost of getting the produce out. So by just fixing those roads and shortening that travel distance, you're basically getting them cheaper inputs and helping them sell their products for better prices. And so that has a tremendous impact on yield. And finally, I think the other one is really around technology, specifically around seeds. I think oftentimes many African countries have put up a lot of barriers towards access to improved seed varieties, which in some cases is the right thing to do. But oftentimes I find that they are in not enabling the African farmer to access some of the best technology to be able to compete globally.
Thank you very much, Kola and David. And I know we're coming to the end of our time. So I'd just like to ask you two very quick questions and just give you about a minute and a half to answer. This is on the hop, as it were. We're all living in a continent that has got similar issues. Doesn't matter whether it's north, south, east, or west. The general issues are the same. So if you're to have a silver bullet in terms of community social development of communities, what would that silver bullet be for you? I'll ask you, Kola, first, and then I go to David. What's your silver bullet?
Financing. Fundamentally, lack of access to financing inhibits, you talk about people with making $1.90, and then you now to ask them to invest $400 to $500 per hectare to get good yields. It's a non-starter. So access not cheaper financing, but access to quantity of financing. Because the problem is not the price, the problem is access, so the quantity. So stimulating and mimicking models similar to what's done in the US with the farm credit system that unlocks $200 billion a year to farmers by governments providing guarantees to stimulate financing into the sector.
Thank you, Kola. David, same question to you. What's your silver bullet?
So first and foremost, I agree with Kola. The financing bit is really spot on. What I'd like to add, though, also is the approaches that I used. I think it is absolutely important that in the production of crops, if you're going to improve the productivity of the farmers, that we take a holistic look. We should not just look at one aspect of the value chain. We should take a total value chain approach so that we ensure that the farmers start with the market in mind and then work backwards to fix everything else that will enable profitable and sustainable production.
So thank you very much, David, and thank you very much, Kola, for your wisdom. As you know, Rotarians are people who are trying to do good in society. They're working to try and help communities. And some of the ideas that you've given, some of the experiences you have, are going to help a lot of Rotarians who are listening to us today to try and work through their simple models. They're still helping communities in a small way, but some of the lessons that you've learned and you've given out are going to help some of those interventions to start to grow. And who knows, maybe one of these days in the not too distant future, a small project started by Rotary Club somewhere in the middle of nowhere might just become the next enterprise that is the ones that the two of you are involved in. So thank you very much. And on behalf of the Rotary Centennial celebrations, thank you for participating and thank you for coming on board to see us. Thank you very much. And back over to you, producer.